Good evening, assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host, Ahmed Nawaz. Now, it's another special edition of Sports Extra this week. We talk about a lot of stuff from sports, from outside sports at the same time as well, but there's always something to whatever we're talking about, and there is always a greater cause or a greater lesson involved in that. Now, tonight's show is another special one where I've been joined by two absolutely amazing guests. One of them, he is, all over the place, if you want to call it. He's come from sustainable, stable careers. Then he's gone on to something that he's loved. The passion has been there. You want to call him an adventurer. That might be the right term, but I would call him the living Superman for me, because the heights that he's achieved or the lengths that he's traveled is something you might just only see or heard of in stories, or especially when it comes to Indiana Jones probably, but he's absolutely achieved all of that, and he's got a living tale to tell as well, and all the lessons that we can learn from him and what he's sharing about. He's been an adventurer. He's an adventurer. He likes to scale the highest peaks of the world, including Everest, K2 as well, the South and the North Poles. He's actually covered the length of Greenland on a kite ski and covered the Arabian desert on a camel. So what more is left? Probably a spaceship to Mars, I don't know. I'm going to ask him about that. He's none other than Mr. Adrian Hayes. Hello, good evening, how are you?
Good evening, Ahmed. Good evening, everybody.
You're like a Superman. I want to say that because you're doing everything that is out there.
I think doing everything is, I can resonate with that one. The Superman tag I would be a little bit embarrassed about, but I don't blame you for saying it.
Yeah. The next guest we have, obviously, is another very special one. His name is Mr. Abu Zafar Sadiq. He's the president of the Alpine Club of Pakistan, and they're doing a lot when it comes to bringing international mountaineers, international sports to Pakistan, especially following the Prime Minister's vision of tourism, and especially tourism through sports as well. Sir, assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Arslan, thank you.
So thank you very much for coming. It's great to have you on the show.
Sir.
Right, Adrian, let's talk about you. You've been part of the British Army, haven't you?
I was, yeah.
And coming from the Special Services Group, you're naturally born to follow adventure. But where did this all change when you finally decided that, okay, now this is what I want to do. This is what I want to follow. I want to do this.
Yeah, I've been adventuring, let's put it like that, since I was 16 years of age. And I'd never claimed to be one sport. I've done everything, as you say, a jack of all trades and perhaps a master of none. The problem is doing it as a living, it's very difficult to do, particularly as more and more people have done more and more things. You have to be absolutely exceptional to be paid for sponsorships or things like this. But it was really from 2005 onwards, I decided to really try and maximize my own potential performance results, so to speak, and really try things that, as I say, I've been doing it all my life, but just really take it to the next level with some really extreme, dangerous, and above all, lengthy trips.
Dangerous might be the word, but you've been able to go beyond danger, haven't you?
Well, I mean, there's different things. There's danger, obviously, losing your life, and I'm sure you'll speak about K2 in a second. But obviously, there's dangers, frostbite and losing fingers and toes and all these things as well. There's always a danger, but one of the key things is, I'm not reckless with this. It's not reckless risk. It's measured risk. I'm a father, for starters. It's all very well when you're young, single, no children. When you've got children, your risk threshold generally changes. There's others I've got to look after.
Yeah.
So no mountain is worth losing your life for, put it like that.
Sir, when it comes to mountains, mountaineering, climbing even, it tends to be, like Adrian mentioned, it's a dangerous career if you want to take it as a career as well. We've got more 8,000 and above peaks than anywhere in the world. So we're a natural destination to attract all of this in Pakistan.
Surely, Pakistani high mountains are natural attractions for the mountaineers. It is known as paradise of mountaineers.
Yes, sir.
And it attracts around the globe mountaineers. They come here and they enjoy. Particularly, we have 3 ranges here, and Himalayan, Karakoram, and Hindu Kush. And the most challenging task or most challenging peaks are in Pakistan. For instance, K2 is thought more, challenging than Mount Everest.
Yes, sir.
Similarly, Naga Parbat is considered as a
Killer
mountain.
Yes.
So the most and more challenging, tasks are here for mountaineers that attract across the
Across the world. And your organization is doing a fine job in bringing
Yes,
all of them to Pakistan.
definitely. We are National Climbing Federation and affiliated with the International and Asian Climbing Federations. We are interacting with the international mountaineers who come across in Pakistan every year. We interact with them, we facilitate them, and we brief them, we debrief them, and we encourage them to come to Pakistan.
Adrian, there's a thing when you want to achieve something, it's a whole new journey. Your focus, the approach is there. But once that entire journey transforms into a lesson not only for yourself, but when you want to spread that lesson to the world, that becomes something even more greater because you're spreading what you've learned throughout the world for people there to see and to witness and to hear about this as well. You've been in documentaries as well, many of them.
Yeah.
Now, I want to come directly to the book that is right in front of me, and I want you to show this to the people out there as well, which is One Man's Climb, and tell me all about this journey.
Yeah, well, this covers my two attempts on K2, which is, as we said, is widely regarded as the hardest mountain height in mountaineering. But I didn't do this with the book and the film crew behind me. I had no intention of writing a book. I was asked to write a book 2 years after I summited by the daughter of one of the guys who actually died on my first attempt. But I struggled. I really wanted this not just to be a book about climbing K2, but bringing in my other hats. As you said, you know, not only am I not just mountaineering, but all adventures, but mountaineering, I'm an author, I've done previous books. I'm a personal development, leadership, team development, personal development, a sociologist, author, various things like this. So I really thought, let's bring this a far wider book than just being a book about climbing K2. So I like to think, to sum it up, it's as much a book about human development, personal growth, society and our lives in the world below as it is the story of climbing K2.
We as humans have got so much potential. You've been one of the lucky ones who's actually realized that potential and has been able to transform it into something great. But there are so many people still out there who want to discover that inner potential, that inner energy, you want to call it. Nirvana achieved that as well at the same time. So what would you say to them?
Well, I mean, I think actually, to be honest, in the world of personal development coaching, there's a lot of cliches. Live your dreams, you know, live your truth, you know, be the person you can be. And that's all great. I think where I've become much more with the social media revolution is authenticity. You know, I didn't trek to the South Pole to raise awareness of climate change. I didn't climb Everest to show others they could achieve their dreams. I didn't climb K2 to raise money for cancer or whatever. They're all good causes, but you've got to be honest. You don't do this for these things. You do it for yourself. And it's really, and I always ask people, what are you trying to achieve? I think what's happened now, unfortunately, more and more people are doing these big things for that Instagram selfie, wherever it is, and it's become literally, I think, an epidemic of attention seeking, recognition, fame and respect.
They're like endorsements, aren't they?
Well, you know, I'm cautious about this. I mean, there's, you know, I just think you've got to be integral about why you're doing it. If you are absolutely honest about why you're doing these things, there's a massive amount of learnings that you can take away, as you said. You know, reaching, fulfilling our potential, and finding Nirvana if it's there.
If it's there as well. So, do you believe that's true as well? That there's, it's a trend now for that ultimate selfie that they call it now, as Adrian mentioned as well. But there's something to more than that as well. Especially we're living in Pakistan, we've got so many legends through sports and other fields as well. So we have those people who realize the true potential to know what they're doing, especially when it comes to mountaineering.
Yes, selfie and like this attraction is there, and people are, you know, going into the mountains and, you know, sharing on social media their travel for recognition, and bloggers and vloggers are, you know, day by day increasing. It is one aspect that they have their own recognition or appreciation or fame or like that. But at the same time, we see that this selfie or social media has brought a, you know, revolution, big flow of tourists to the northern areas of Pakistan. It is now a big challenge for sustainability in the mountain regions. Million people are going in the summer to the mountains. We don't have much infrastructure. We don't have hotels there. We don't have campsites there. People are forced to sleep, you know, in their cars in the night, in some weekends and like that. So,
but still, we keep the numbers increasing every year.
Yeah.
And imagine if we can have that infrastructure, where we can go from there.
Particularly, you see that, you know, Hazara motorway, Sakhar motorway, and Sawat motorway. They are opening. Next summer is very difficult and much more challenging, and the pollution and the other things are growing there. Particularly infrastructure they are building that is not controlled very much. They need to cutting trees and like that. So these are very big challenges for the mountains in Pakistan. Particularly, you see, we have International Mountain Day, and there is a need of awareness to bring the people in their knowledge and to aware them that how challenges are there for our nation.
For everyone as well. Adrian, when you decided to go on this journey, you mentioned back in 2005, you've got to overcome some personal taboos at the same time as well. Think about the family. How did the family take this, first of all?
It's a very, very difficult question. Look, I think, your partners, whoever that is, have got to understand. I've been like this since I was 16 years of age, so you can't sort of try whatever happens. Sometimes when people get married, they say, "Well, settle down now."
Yeah.
You're just going to be frustrated about things. So look, it's part of me. I've been doing it all my life. It's just taking it to a different level. And it was 205 was just going for some really big things, because it's hard to hold I used to sell Airbuses and various different jobs. You can't go on a job just and go away for 2-3 months. It might kill you. But I just want to take what you said about Pakistan. It's another thing. The Pakistan that we read in the newspapers and in TV across Western Europe isn't always positive. And I'm only too happy to show the real beauty of your country and the beautiful people and the scenery, and it is fantastic.
You automatically became an ambassador of the country at the same time as well, because you've witnessed that hospitality, everything that was there, including what Pakistan has to offer, the real potential. How do you take this once you actually share these experiences all over the world? How do people take this?
They're very surprised often. Nepal has got a very good tourism potential and tourism machine. People are very surprised to see that Pakistan has got so much to offer. And I have said, and I'll say it, what the country needs to do is make it easier for people to come here. The visa situation is quite cumbersome, let's see. So if you want to attract people to the great beauty, which, as I say, you've got to have the infrastructure, of course, to take it, but there's a fantastic landscape out there and magnificent, which, of course, as an adventurer, I would always encourage people to get into the nature, to get off their smartphones and the screens and get into nature, because it has the answers for everything.
Now, the only adventure they're getting right now is probably their smartphones. Besides that, there's nothing you can So this is an alarming situation. When I was growing up, I still remember that our parents had to force us to come home. Now I think we have to force our children to go out. It's the other way around now.
Yes, it is very much needed, and schools and colleges, universities, parents, they are aware and they are thinking about that. But there is no practical steps we see. But Alpine Club has created an awareness among the institutions like this. Mr. Hayes is coming here, and we are bringing him in different universities and places. He is creating awareness. We ourselves are creating awareness and bringing that youth to the mountains or the remote areas in the wilderness to have escape of this cyber life to the real nature, as Adrian said, that you have to interact with them, learn them, and face the real challenge of the life instead of living in the cyber world.
Just in your own conventional boxes as well. But Adrian, it's very important because Sir mentioned a very important part is about interacting with the people. Now you're a role model already. So do you think that that's another thing that we need to focus on, is bringing experts in different fields and making them interact with the public, especially on the grassroots levels with school children, just get that energy, that motivation going for them to actually step out of their comfort zones?
Yeah, I think, well, step out the comfort zones and step away from the screens. I must admit, I do a lot of work with schools and universities and colleges. I've never seen children so distracted. One of the great things about going on these trips is your mind goes on a different frequency. Contemplation, observation, awareness, problem solving, all these things. And I think a lot of young people now are so distracted they cannot take their eyes off their phone or concentrate, listen. So I think people like myself and various other people to come in and give the choice. We have to live with technology. I use social media as much as everything else. But when I go on these trips, or even a day trip to the mountains, leave it behind and just appreciate what's around you. And as I said, nature has the lessons for everything.
But who do you think has that responsibility? Does it fall on the parents, the schools themselves?
Yeah, I mean, schools, I think there's blanket rule with schools. Phones should be left in a locker at the beginning of school and picked up at the end of the day. Full stop. There's no place for them in school. But parents have got a very big responsibility. And, you know, you've got to do things with your children. If we don't, we're the same. If we don't do anything, we'll look at our phones. So whether it's mountains, dancing, singing, theatre, my daughter, the same. Just get people active where they can't use a phone. And say going to mountains is one of the things, getting to nature.
Getting to nature. So do you think that the access to technology now has been so easy that that's another problem? That's why the children, like he mentioned, are so distracted as well. I probably would have never gotten my first mobile phone, I think, since when I turned 15 or 16. Now you see a 10-year-old having their own tablet. He's got a whole access to a YouTube library, you know, whatever he wants to watch. And he's absolutely right that family bonding, we used to remember one television in the house. There was only 1 hour when all the family was together. Otherwise, it was picnics. I mean, me and my wife were discussing the other day, we were taking a walk in the park, that, you know, there are no more picnics in families anymore.
Yes, definitely it is challenge, as is said, that it is, you know, parents' responsibility. They have to, you know, educate their children. But we see that parents themselves are involved in this, you know, social media and spending time there before their children. So I think not only parents, teachers, social media, everyone has to play their role to, you know, move the children from this cyber world to the real world. And these are the sports, and the adventure sports particularly are the option
that can
for
do
them, particularly in the summers and the weekends. And we, in our country, across the, you know, from south to west, we have this, you know, mountain range. Talk about Karakoram to the Kirthar National Park in the, you know, south, or in the Balochistan Salman range.
Syed National Park is another very great attraction. Adrian, the best part about nature is it offers you all kinds of seasons to appreciate, isn't it?
And indeed you can, winter, spring, summer and fall. There's something for all seasons to do. K2 in winter has not been done yet, the only 8,000 meter peak that hasn't been done, Club. But you know, yeah, look, there's you know, there's loads out there to do. But as I say, I think the main thing for me is authenticity about what you're trying to do. Yeah, being honest about the things. Just, you know, yeah, that's really.
So talk about the book, One Man's Climb. Is it available for everybody if people want to get to that book?
So we're in Pakistan this week, International Mountain Day, to launch it. We've launched it around the world. This is the sort of the last country to do. We save the best till last. But we are coming back in February. Hopefully the Lahore Literary Festival, when we're going to have it in bookstores as well. This is a pre-launch, and we've got a few events in.
Yeah. So can we just see it one more time? So this is the book if you want to get your hands on it. Adrian, Pakistan, I'm sure, has been great to you. The hospitality and everything has been great. So just to shout out to the nation out there, can you just say Pakistan Zindabad at the end of the show?
Pakistan
Zindabad.
Pakistan Zindabad.
Thank you so much. Adrian, it's been great having you. I think you're an inspiration. Definitely the book is something to get your hands on and learn about One Man's Climb and all what we can learn from it for personal development at the same time as well. Sir, thank you very much. I think hats off to you. Alpine Club is definitely doing the country proud at the same time as well. Well, that's all we have time for. You've heard from the living legend himself, and the book is out there. It's going to be launched in Pakistan, of course, as well. And you definitely need to give it a read. And like Adrian mentioned, I think the motto for today and forever now is get away from your smartphones. Go out there, appreciate nature, see what God's got to offer as well. From me and the entire team, until our next show, it's goodbye for now.